Hello there, thanks for joining me this Friday on 7Edition. I'm Muhammad Ahmad Hamdan and these are tonight's top stories. Situation in Sri Aman back to hazardous as haze surpasses API of 400. 12 tons of cocaine worth 2.4 billion ringgit seized in record haul. And President Joko Widodo orders to hold off controversial revision of Indonesia's criminal code. Good evening. Police made the largest cocaine haul in the country's history with the seizure of 12 tons of cocaine worth 2.4 billion ringgit. The drugs were disguised as coal and discovered at the Butterworth port in Penang last week. A 29-year-old man believed to be in charge of logistics for the international drug syndicate has been remanded until September 23rd. At a media conference in Georgetown this afternoon, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bado said the drugs were mixed with coal so well that it was almost impossible to detect, even by highly trained sniffer dogs.
Sampai 3 hari pihak Jabatan Kimia telah berjaya menemukan dengan positifnya dan mengesahkan bahawa kandungan di dalam guni-guni tersebut adalah kokain yang dicampurkan, diselindungi dengan arang batu. So hanya teknologi yang terkini saja yang boleh mengesahkan bahawa kandungan arang batu yang ada dalam itu juga adalah sebahagiannya kokain.
The cocaine found in 60 sacks mixed with coal in 3 containers during Ops Eagle is valued at 200,000 ringgit per kilogram. Police believe the syndicate was using Malaysia as a transit point for its drug trafficking network. The case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act, which carries the death penalty. A doctor accused of assaulting his ex-wife and her father was ordered to undergo psychiatric evaluation for a month at Hospital Bahagia Ulu Kinta, Perak. The 34-year-old earlier claimed trial when the charges were read out before Shah Alam Sessions Court Judge Muhammad Sabri Ismail. Dr. Syed Arif Syed Abdul was charged with voluntarily causing hurt to his ex-wife, who is also a doctor, using a mobile phone outside a workshop in Shah Alam 2 weeks ago. The accused was also charged with causing hurt to his ex-father-in-law on the same day and time. The court was informed that the accused had sought psychiatric evaluation at University Malaysia Medical Centre and is currently being treated at the Sungai Buloh Hospital. The court then fixed October 18th for remention of the case. It was reported that the assault happened after an argument over custody rights of their children. The corruption trial of Datuk Sri Bung Mokhtar Radin and his wife Datin Sri Zizi Izzat A. Samad will commence next January. Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court Judge Rosina Ayub today fixed 23 days for the hearing, starting from January 2nd to April 17th. The judge also reminded the prosecution to hand over all documents and witness statements to the defence team by the middle of December. On May 3rd, the outspoken Kinabatangan MP claimed trial to 3 counts of receiving a total of 2.8 million ringgit in bribes to enable Felkra Berhad to make a 150 ringgit investment in the unit trust products of Public Mutual Berhad. Zizi Izzat also pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of abetting her husband, the then Felkra non-executive chairman, on the same offences. Authorities will conduct a major operation tomorrow to put out forest and peatland fires in Sri Aman, Sarawak, which registered hazardous air quality since early this morning. This after the transboundary haze coupled with forest fires in the district caused the Air Pollution Index API to breach the 400 mark.
It was learned that the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency's MMEA Bombardier CL-415 aircraft will be deployed to waterbomb the peatland fires at STC Village and Jalan Kejatau, Sri Aman. The National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, in a statement said the State Fire and Rescue Department has detected fires on a 80-hectare area of land in Sri Aman which have not been extinguished completely. Meanwhile, cloud seeding operations will be conducted for 2 days beginning today in Sarawak, with the main focus on Sri Aman. This was following the success of operations in Selangor, Perak and Penang yesterday, which resulted in rain in the northern part of the peninsula. A total of 1,037 schools in 20 districts affected by the worsening haze situation in Sarawak were ordered to close today. The closure involved 136 secondary schools and 901 primary schools, affecting 325,391 students. Schools in Penang, Selangor, Kuala Lumpur and Negeri Sembilan are also closed due to the haze.
Now, online learning sessions will be held even if schools are forced to remain closed due to the haze. The Deputy Education Minister Teo Ni Ching said teachers from schools currently closed have already been asked to give their students tasks via the Google Classroom application. Teo said the move is to ensure students' learning would not be affected by school closures due to the haze.
Walaupun sekolah tutup, tetapi kalau boleh bagi murid-murid kita, pelajar-pelajar kita assignment untuk mereka learn from home, seperti quiz melalui Google Classroom, itu boleh dijalankan.
She also said the ministry was monitoring the haze, particularly in view of the Pentaksiran Tingkatan 3 or PT3 written examination for Form 3 students scheduled to begin on September 30th. The Deputy Minister said various efforts have been made by the government to reduce the haze, including carrying out cloud seeding, which would help in ensuring that schools would not need to be closed for a long period of time. Malaysians should be prepared for an annual haze between June to October for the next 3 years. This as we enter a drier than usual weather with El Niño playing its part. According to a transboundary pollution expert at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia, the dry season coinciding with the oil palm plantation clearing cycle is the reason behind the major haze this year.
The Dean of Science and Engineering, Professor Andy Chan, has been studying transboundary pollution for the last 20 years. According to him, the region cycles between La Nina, which is the wet season, and El Nino, which causes the dry season. For the last 3 years, despite the burning of the crops occurring regularly in the region, we did not experience major haze because of La Nina. The wet weather helped put out the fire. Farmers used to clear the land.
So these things comes in a 3 to 4 year cycle. So for the past 3 years, number one, we observed no haze. Number two, I think you probably observed that we have been enjoying a lot of good fruit harvest like durians because there's a lot of rainfall in the region. So we will be expecting similar kind of patterns for the next 3 years. That is, we will be expecting this haze season to come back for the next 3 years, and then you'll be looking at some kind of a 3 to 4 year cycle every now and then.
Professor Chan said for developing countries, farmers find that land burning is the most cost-effective way to clear old oil palm trees and also replenish the land.
Usually the haze will comes in from June to September. And that comes with it as the what we call the burning season. Palm trees or palm plantations usually have a 7-year cycle, and usually this is the time in which most of these farms will need to be replenished. So they will usually burn it during summer, from June to September, October, because number one, it's easier because it's summer, so it's hotter, it's easier to set off a fire. And secondly, usually that's where the plantation cycle comes to play.
While he does not advocate open burning, he said farmers should work with local authorities to help reduce its impact on people. The burning can be done when the wind is blowing away from populated areas and not during extremely dry seasons. Many large plantations already have zero burning policies. However, it is the smaller farmers who are more likely to resort to using fires to clear their land. He added that alternatives should be given to the farmers to replenish their fields instead of open burning.
Meanwhile, Indonesia has slammed the nation's timber and plantation industries, accusing them of failing to prevent the wildfires in the country. According to a Bloomberg report, which quoted Indonesia's Ministry of Forestry and Environment, only about 22% of forestry business permit holders, or 2,179 firms, submitted mandatory reports on forest fire control, suggesting a lack of commitment in preventing fires on their land. Indonesian authorities have named more than 200 companies, including oil palm, pulp producers and individual farmers, as responsible for starting the fires and sealed their land holdings. However, the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries have called for the blame game to stop and defended the industry by saying oil palm plantations are generally not the source of burning. In a statement on its website, it also said that hotspots recorded in oil palm plantations usually spread from neighboring areas. On Friday, the total number of hotspots in Indonesia also climbed to 5,086 from 4,077 the previous day, with Kalimantan accounting for 2,996 fires and Sumatra 1,414. Data from the Disaster Mitigation Agency shows the wildfires have affected 328,724 hectares of forest and farmland in the first 8 months of the year. When we return, students worldwide kick off million-strong global climate strike. Stay tuned for the details, don't go away. Welcome back. All 756 police lockups nationwide will be equipped with closed-circuit television or CCTV cameras to monitor detention activities and prevent misconduct involving policemen. The move involves an allocation of 73 million ringgit. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Dr. Sri Liew Vui Kiong, said installation of the CCTV cameras is expected to be completed by year-end. The minister, when speaking to reporters after a visit to the General Operations Force barracks in Cheras today, added that the government had also allocated 100 million ringgit to refurbish around 210 lifts in all police buildings.
Untuk memberikan satu keadaan di mana kita dapat tahu apa yang berlaku dalam lock-up pada masa tangkapan ataupun tahanan yang melibatkan beberapa orang-orang tahanan.
Meanwhile, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Badul welcomed the news, saying it will tremendously help prevent slander against the police force.
Buah saya sebenarnya selama ni amat terdedah kepada fitnah. Saya tegas menyatakan bahawa kes-kes kematian dalam lokap ini banyak berpunca daripada penyakit yang sakit. Contohnya dah tahap 4 ketagihan dadah ni, tahap 4 dah ada HIV dah.
The top cop added that the CCTVs, together with body cameras, which were recently approved by the government, will also prevent dereliction of duty among the police personnel. The all-new 100 million ringgit National Defence Education Centre, or Puspahanas, is expected to be fully operational by January next year, after a hiatus of almost 5 years. The centre will house 3 colleges, namely the Armed Forces Staff College, MTAT, Armed Forces Defence College, MPAT, and the new National Resilience College, NRC. Malaysian Armed Forces ATM Chief General Tan Sri Zulkifli Zainal Abidin said the idea of setting up Puspahanas was first discussed over 40 years ago. Its objective is to prepare military officers to think and operate effectively, especially in an unpredictable international security environment.
Dan saya berkeyakinan dalam masa terdekat Puspahanas ini akan menjadi pusat rujukan hal-hal keselamatan dan pertahanan untuk negara dan mungkin di rantau ini dengan organisasi, environment, pemikiran dan semangat yang tinggi, perkara ini dapat direalisasi dengan cepat.
The courses offered so far are focused on ATM officers, but he did not rule out the possibility of offering the courses to other security-related government agencies by 2021. The process of relocating MPAT and MTAT will be carried out in stages from Jalan Padang Tembak, Kuala Lumpur to Puspahanas, located in Precinct 1, Putrajaya. Onto the foreign front, students worldwide kicked off a million-strong global climate strike on Friday, heeding the call of teen activist Greta Thunberg and demanding adults to take action to stave off environmental disaster. From Sydney to Bangkok to Delhi, children shut their textbooks for what is expected to be one of the largest ever collective calls to action in a movement fueled by social media under the hashtag Climate Strike. Dubbed the Fridays for Future movement, with more than 5,000 events planned worldwide. The campaign sees youths demanding politicians and businesses to take the drastic action needed to stop global warming. On the eve of the strikes, Thunberg, a 16-year-old from Sweden, insisted solutions were being ignored and called on kids to take ownership.
I am submitting this report as my testimony because I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the scientists. And I want you to unite behind the science. And then I want you to take real action. Thank you.
The testimony was addressing the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Agreement, which saw countries pledge to limit the long-term rise in the average temperature of the Earth to 2 degrees Celsius and, if possible, to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The strikes began in the deluge-threatened Pacific islands of Vanuatu, the Solomons and Kiribati, where children chanted, "We are not sinking, we are fighting." They were later joined by tens of thousands of young Australians who made hashtag Climate Strike the country's top trending hashtag as they prepared to rally in Sydney, Melbourne and dozens of other cities. In Thailand, crowds gathered in Bangkok, where climate change has caused rising sea levels that could force residents to abandon the coastal city, and hotter, wetter weather worsening the deadly dengue outbreak. A youth climate summit will take place at the United Nations on Saturday. Then Monday will see UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres host an emergency summit to urge world leaders to raise their commitments made to the 2015 Paris Climate Accord. A landmark UN report to be unveiled next week will warn that global warming and pollution are ravaging Earth's oceans and icy regions in ways that could unleash misery on a global scale. After widespread criticism by human rights groups, Indonesian President Joko Widodo ordered to hold off on passing a controversial revision of Indonesia's criminal code on Friday. The nation was set to vote on a new bill to outlaw gay and premarital sex, as well as impose harsh restrictions around contraception. In a statement on Friday, he said he looked into and listened to the concerns of those who expressed their objections and agreed the plan needed to be thoroughly reviewed. Jokowi said there were at least 14 articles that still needed to be reviewed but did not specify which ones. He also asserted that the government and the House should get input from communities and members of the public when discussing these articles. The proposed criminal law overhaul could affect millions in the world's biggest Muslim-majority country, including heterosexual couples who might face jail for having sex outside wedlock or having an affair. People who have premarital or extramarital sex could face between 6 months and 1 year in jail, as well as fines under the charges. There are also penalties for anyone showing or offering contraception to minors under 18. While a push last year fizzled, the mooted changes now appear set to be voted on in Parliament before the end of the month, with strong support from religious groups. Jokowi's call for the bill's postponement came to only 4 days before the House was initially scheduled to pass it into law during a plenary meeting of its last sitting period on Tuesday. However, the laws could still go ahead. Coming up, Huawei unveils new next-gen smartphone. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Huawei Technologies Company Limited is not resting on its laurels despite having ousted Apple Incorporated as the world's second largest smartphone maker. The Chinese technology giant yesterday unveiled its groundbreaking Huawei Mate 30 series, the world's first second-generation 5G smartphone.
Launched at an exclusive event in Munich, Germany, the Huawei Mate 30 promises a fusion of aesthetic design and state-of-the-art technology. The series boasts the first mobile application processor that integrates a 5G modem on the same chip with unrivaled levels of performance and efficiency. It is also equipped with an integrated quad camera, including a dual main camera system designed for excellent photographic and videographic results. Other features include the Huawei Supercharge and Emotion User Interface 10, which offer long-lasting battery and enhanced user experience. Meanwhile, Huawei Malaysia is also ready to roll out its 5G service in the country, with demonstrations offered at its store at Pavilion Elite in Kuala Lumpur. The Huawei 5G Experiential Zone will give the public a taste of what the technology can do, running from September 19th to October 6th, 2019.
Driven by higher sales volume for petroleum products, liquefied natural gas, as well as the weakening of the ringgit against the US dollar, Petronas registered a net profit of 28.9 billion ringgit for the first half of 2019. This was up 9% from 26.6 billion ringgit year-on-year. Meanwhile, its revenue for the period rose to 121.1 billion. In announcing the results today, Petronas President and Group CEO Tan Sri Wan Zulkifli Wan Arifin appeared optimistic for investments to pick up in the second half of the year.
Petronas continues to deliver an improved performance for the first half of 2019 amidst ongoing uncertainties in the market. Renewable energy.
Capital expenditure for the period under review stood at 15.7 billion ringgit. For the second quarter ended June 30th, 2019, the company's net profit rose 8% to 14.7 billion. However, its revenue registered a marginal decrease to 59.1 billion. Mitsubishi Corporation said a rogue oil trader at its Singapore unit lost $320 million in an unauthorized transaction disguised as legitimate hedges for customers. It said in a statement the employee, a Chinese national working at Petro Diamond Singapore, has been fired and reported to the police. However, the company declined to name him. The parent company said the trader, hired in November last year to handle oil business with China, repeatedly engaged in the unauthorized deals since January, disguising them to look like hedge transactions. A person familiar with the matter identified the trader as Wang Xing Chen, also known as Jack Wang. Calls to Wang's mobile phone could not be connected, while a person who answered the phone at Petro Diamond Singapore office said he has left the company. No other current contact details were available. Bursa Malaysia wrapped the week slightly higher today on mild bargain hunting in lower liners and small caps. The FBM KLCI gained 1.1 points to finish at 1,597.4 points amid cautious sentiment over the global economic growth prospects. Onto stocks to watch. Eco World Development Group Berhad is trading at a discount compared with its latest book value of 1 ringgit and 50 cents per share. The company's robust new sales pipeline also provides strong earnings visibility in the foreseeable future. Next, Leong Hub International Berhad is expected to recover considerably in the second half of 2019 after recording a dismal performance in the second quarter. These will be backed by a strong recovery in prices of broiler and baby chicks and higher capacity at both feed meal and livestock segments. Now let's head on over to Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making the rounds in the cyber world today. Unless you're living under a rock, you definitely have heard of a viral road rage incident at the Bukit Kiara Toll Plaza, which surfaced a few days ago. Well, one of the men involved in the brutal scuffle actually took to his Facebook account, asking netizens for donations to clear his fine. Here's the story.
In the viral Facebook post uploaded yesterday, which has since been deleted, Muhammad Fazri and Muhammad Azziar wrote that he will be slapped with jail time or a 1,000 ringgit fine. He was creative enough to seek help from netizens to pay off the fine, as he could not afford to clear it due to financial difficulties. Failure to clear the fine would get himself 6 months of jail. The recording of the brawling duo went viral on social media. On Tuesday, it was understood that Ng Wai Hung, who drove the Mazda, had overtaken Muhammad Fazrien's van before braking in front of the van. Both drivers then stopped at Plaza Toll Bukit Kiara and immediately got into a brawl. Earlier today, the duo was sentenced to 1 day in jail by the Kuala Lumpur Magistrates Court, where they were fined 1,000 ringgit each in default of a month's jail.